All right. All right.
Sharks can't see.
Who?
Sharks can't see you.
The sharks can't see me? Okay. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. I see everybody's coming in there. The _ Peacemaker. Piggy Bangs. What's up? I'm a little late. Listen, this is what entrepreneurs do. Sorry I couldn't do my broadcast yesterday. As you see, I was moving, and I didn't have any Wi-Fi. So the temp was there, and then now today, I didn't have any paper in my printer. So sorry for being a little late. But let me pin this talk today right here. I got my producer with me. Say hello to everybody. Okay, that's her version of saying hello. Let me pin this. All right. Pin. I'm trying to pin this thing.
What is pin?
Pin means, see, I pinned the comment right there. All right. So I'm going to jump right into it. I have two really amazing people that I'm going to bring on that we're going to learn from, and I know they have a busy schedule and they had to move their schedule from yesterday to today for me. So give me the first piece of paper. Thank you. Okay, give me the second piece of paper. This one, All right. So today is who I am bringing on. Oh, 1 second.
Wait a sec.
Where are you going?
No, wait.
All right, cool. All right, so I don't like to read people's bios in front of them because I know that sometimes you feel weird. So I'm going to talk about Mark, my buddy here. Started off iconic with his partner Jeff Cole in the late 2016 as a side hustle, and Iconic, LA's brand focus on inspiring people through art. I'm sure you've just seen my recent release of Iconic, and I'm really honored about the company I'm keeping with that, as well as Mark and his partner Jeff and what they're doing. It's the fastest growing digital art company in the world. The fastest growing digital art company in the world. But you're going to learn a lot from this for your personal life because they're dedicated to producing affordable, high quality canvas art that motivates viewers to follow their passion. You know how when I say read your goals, even in Think and Grow Rich, it says put those goals on the mirror so when you're brushing your teeth. And by the way, one of my goals often is what I did. I put it on my body. Who God bless, no man curse. And also, it shall be, since it was written, it shall be done. So when I look in the mirror every single day, I see that I am blessed by God. And it is a reminder, even though I don't need that reminder, but why not, right? And so they make motivational art that you can put behind your desk, in your wall, in your bedroom, in your bathroom. Not yet, baby. But anywhere you want, and that is absolutely amazing. That's why I'm proud to be part of them. But in March 2016, they started investing in digital marketing, and the company just took off. They were working on Iconic from 5 to 8 a.m. in the morning. That means they were getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and then at 7 p.m. at night, as they kept their day jobs until they earned their first $2 million in revenue. You remember what I tell you: do not quit your day job. All those people that tell you quit your day job and just burn the ships and burn the bridge and just go hard, they're full of shit. Don't do it. And this is another company that's showing you how they did it exactly the same way that I did it when I worked at Red Lobster and sewed shirts in the morning or at night. It sounds just like my story in another way. They partnered with people such like Scooter Braun, Gary Vaynerchuk, and of course my own line, as I told you about it. I just released it last week. They have licenses with people and companies including Muhammad Ali, the NBA, Marilyn, Monroe, and Elvis Presley. So all of you who want to know about licensing your intellectual property or maybe licensing somebody else's intellectual property, Mark can give you more information and more details on that. But I want you to check this out. In Powership, I tell you that the deals don't normally happen when you first meet somebody. And too many people are trying to be transactional, and they're not planting seeds and building influence because they want to deal today and right now. Well, let me tell you my story about Mark. My team first met Mark back in 2015 when he helped out with my NBA All-Star Weekend Party 5 years later, we officially launched our collection together. But let me tell you guys how Mark and I actually connected. Before Iconic, where his company he owns now, Mark was a CMO of a hat company called Marilyn, which worked closely with my mentor, Jay Abraham. Who also we deal with in managing and speaking. But Mark's company gifted hats for us for the holiday season of 2014, and in 2015 they gifted more hats to VIP guests that we knew at an event hosted by Mark Cuban and myself. And then I briefly met Mark at that event. Mark was invited to a dinner with Jay Abraham, where they really connected with, we connected with Jay and my president of my company, Ted. And later on, lo and behold, 5 years later, we did the deal. And you know what happened? That's because, we saw how each other interacted. And when you plant seeds today, all the people that are watching you today or dealing with you today virtually or whatever the case is, you plant seeds and you end up doing deals with. I'm going to bring Mark on right now because I know the man is busy. And boom. How am I doing? Good? Okay. High five. Waiting for. That's my service.
Hey,
What's up, man?
what's up, my man?
How you doing, Mark? Thank you so much for switching your times around. I know yesterday, I canceled at the last minute, but I really appreciate it. I know you're busy just like all of us.
No worries. Thanks for bringing the producer on. I love the special guest.
Yeah, thank you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, man. So, I already read your bio and stuff like that, and I always try to come up with a couple of points. But, I find it interesting. I tell people all the time, don't quit your day job. And really successful people I know hustle their day job, and then they hustle on their dream before you know it, their dream overtakes their day job. But why did you feel that you could do that? Because you already had a decent job as CMO of a company. You were meeting and moving and shaking people. But why did you keep your day job? What was the thought behind that?
It was pretty simple. We just wanted to make sure we had a real business before we took the jump. And for us, the company exploded out the gate with one SKU. And it was pretty simple. Myself and Jeff made an agreement together, and we said, hey, being too reliable on one SKU, one person, one distribution channel is very risky. So it was very simple. Once we saw that the sales were starting to spread through 10, 15 different SKUs, we said, hey, we have a business. And it was really that simple. Once we knew we had a real sustainable business, we made the jump. But I mean, right out the gate, we did 6 figures the first month. But, at any given time, I mean, we're seeing right now with COVID, look at companies that are relying on brick and mortar. Overnight, boom, they're done. So for me, it actually makes a lot of sense right now with COVID. Being too reliable on one person, one thing, one service provider is very dangerous. So it was that simple. Once we started seeing people were buying multiple pieces of art, then we're like, okay, we have a real business. We can make the jump.
I think that's a good point. Back in the days when I was starting out, right? You okay? You want mommy? What happened? Did mommy just leave or something?
Getting shy.
All right. She wants mommy, and I don't know what just happened. That's when you're a father and all you're surrounded by is women. All right, baby, go see mommy. All right.
I don't know anything about that yet.
Producers, they get so edgy when things aren't going their way. She just hit me with I want mommy in the middle of the broadcast. All right, so let's get back to some of the, I think, key lessons about that. When I started out, I was inspired and motivated by two different designers, well, 3 different designers, but it was Cross Colors who showed me that this can happen, this world of fashion by people of color. But they depended, and they skyrocketed to $100 million the first year. But they all depended on one chain, and the chain of retailers we call Merry-Go-Round, and Merry-Go-Round had filed bankruptcy, and Cross Colors at that time had never sold to any other chain. They were just kind of like, they had like an exclusive with Merry-Go-Round, so they suffered the same fate as Merry-Go-Round, when it happens. So just like you said, you know, one SKU, one customer, one form of distribution is, you know, of course, you know, challenging. And that's why people should always go out and try to find various different forms of distribution, various different SKUs, and various different customer levels. Also, you know, people always thought that we only had sold to men, black guys, black African American men. But think about that business model. If there's 350 million people in this country, and the age of the buying public of African American males, because there's only 30 African American people in this country, and think about the ones who are over 18 but not too old, because the people who are really old are not purchasing, who are males who love hip hop, who love boo boo. That's 1.5 million people out of the entire country, and I would have been an idiot if I only had tried to appeal to only one color, one culture, one, you know, demo, right? And
Yep.
that's why we had put products in various different categories, various different ages, because a lot of people ended up supporting the brand. So I think that's really a good point that people should know. But how long did it take you to do the day job against working Iconic?
Well, what was
Before
interesting.
you moved on to Iconic.
Yeah, so in 2016, I owned big Instagram accounts. So we literally just started drop shipping art, and we were bartering on big Instagram accounts. So if you have 2 million followers and I have 1 million followers, I would go to you and I'd say, you post me once, I post you twice. You post me once, I post you twice. And we kept doing this, and we're making $1,000, $2,000 a day here and there. I remember Black Friday of 2016, we made 15 grand. Me and Jeff thought we were rich. But it really wasn't until February 27th of 2017, we went to Shopify. And then in March, we did paid acquisition, and that's when we really skyrocketed. I think any leader of any company right now, if you don't understand from a macro perspective digital marketing, you're going to lose. I mean, look what's going on right now. I think, you know, it's great to be in all doors, Target, Walmart, etc. You can have a huge business there, don't get me wrong, but the internet is limitless. So we were, in March, it took off, but I mean, we were going, I think it was 4 or 5 months before we decided. It was a conversation me and Jeff had every day. I mean, you met Jeff. He's a little bit more conservative than me. So every single day I was like, man, fuck this. Like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And he was like, hey, you know, it's a real good yin and yang we have. He was a little bit more conservative, and, you know, rightfully so. It was until that we started getting sales across, you know, 15, 20 SKUs where we made the jump. And I'll always remember that day when we told our business partner in the other business that we were, you know, leaving that company. And when he left that day, it was like, you know, a new lease on life. You know, I always tell people out there, you know, find something that you're passionate about and you can put effort into. And you know, the cliche quote, you'll never work a day again in your life. And for me, you know, ever since that day, every single day is the best day for me, man. It's, you know, we love what we do. Everyone on our team we love. So for everybody out there, keep searching until you find it, because when you find it, life is different.
Let me dig narrow and deep on what you just said, because, you know, of course, in Power Shift, I say that you have to think about it, what's in it for the other person. And you know what you said that I don't know. I hope that didn't fly over people's head. You post me once, I'll post you twice.
Yeah.
Right? Think about that. You post me once, I post you twice. I got nothing to lose. Holy crap. You are co-signing on me. You're giving me twice the value of what I'm giving you. And that's why I want to buck with you. You know what I mean? That's what people are thinking when you do that to them. How many people here are thinking like that? I mean, that's amazing. I mean, I personally have never even thought that simple about it. Talking to some of the people that I respect and value and want to do business with, and say, you post me once, I post you twice.
Yeah, I mean, Daymond, it's really about just finding what the other side needs and wants. I mean, it was pretty simple. Initially, my first conversation right away with Ted, he told me your book was launching, and what did I think in the back of my head? Boom, how can I help push sales for his book? Because that's his next initiative. And it's literally, it's all about the other side being happy. And I think too many times people think in a negotiation, the other side needs to believe as though they won. And if both sides don't win, it's not a good deal, period. So for me, you know, if I can't provide ample value to the other side, I don't want to do the deal, period. Because there's always ups and downs.
A lot of people would have came up to me and said, man, this is Daymond John. He's on TV all the time, man. You know, he got a couple of books out there. This ain't nothing new to him, man. He got this. I know D got this, but I need help. And I need to pitch what I need help on, instead of thinking, why should I assume Daymond John got it all? You know what? He has a book. There's a million books in the world. He must believe in that book. There must be a driving force behind him to want to get that book out. And there's a limited amount of time to really advertise and market and get that book out. You know what? It means something to Daymond. I don't care how cool people think he is, how he got it. I'm going to help him. I'm going to offer help to him, and I'm not going to assume that he got it. And you know what? On the flip side, I was like, I appreciate it, or my team was like, I appreciate it. And a lot of people here watching, you always think that somebody else's life is easier or they're greater or they're better when people are doing the same to the people right now. They're thinking that the people right now who are watching, they got it all. And you don't go into, a lot of times people don't go into the room going, what is that person's initiative? What do they need out of life? You know what I mean? And I appreciate that.
No, for sure. I really think that we live in a world where everything's based around distribution and content. And for us to come in basically as a distribution, partner to drive your content piece, and content can be content or product, which is your book. I mean, of course you're going to say yes to that. When I'm talking to Ted and I'm like, hey, I can drive you, 10 million more impressions on your book. Who's not going to say yes to that? And for us, we've done so many licensing deals and so many partnerships where I've seen so many different plays now that, I was on the phone yesterday with the manager of one of the biggest artists in the whole world, a rapper. And, he can make, $250,000 in one show. Am I going to give him a $250,000 minimum? No. But what I can do is say, hey, when's your next single? When's your next big initiative? When's your next big album? Why don't I become a content and a distribution partner where I'm going to drive towards help amplifying the sales towards your initiative? The second I said that, he loved it. Goes back to his artist. This morning I got a text. He loves it. Send me a full proposal. So people need to start angling and repositioning themselves to say, hey, it's not how I think the deal should be done. It's how can I position the deal to help the other party? And not enough people think like that.
And listen, and you can say it, and then other people will be like, well, he's full of crap. He don't have the artist, but it's already proven. You got Marilyn Monroe. You probably dealt with Jamie Salters, right? You got Marilyn Monroe, Muhammad Ali. You got Gary Vee. You got me. You got people that are not that easy to negotiate with, not because we're greedy people. It's just because we have a lot coming at us, and our time and our intellectual property is our inventory. But you've already proven that you can do it. Now, when you said, we invested in digital marketing, a lot of people here is like, okay, what does that mean? I mean, because digital marketing can be so many different areas. Like, what are the keys for people right now who are trying to go down the road? And of course, we want to make sure they do it with the power of broke. They want to try little things here in various different areas. But what do you suggest for someone who's like, okay, I have a product, I have a company, I have a service, I have an intellectual property. I want to go and invest in digital marketing. What should they do? Where should they educate themselves first before they go and spend money? And give us some tips.
First and foremost, I think you need to take a step back and say, who am I and what does my brand stand for? So you can create a proper content strategy. To feed distribution and paid ads, you need to have a lot of content. So first and foremost, who am I, what I want to stand for, and create a lot of content. Creating a lot of content, you can put it out organically. You're going to get reach. You're going to get sales. So start with a lot of content. Secondly,
people right now are thinking, oh my God, I gotta get a camera and I gotta get somebody to film stuff and edit stuff, or is it it's iPhone, it's podcast, it's what is it? What is content?
Daymond, I'll give you guys a little secret right now for everyone listening. Our best performing ads are done on the iPhone. We're creating very high quality movies with red cameras, and the iPhone ads do the best. So for everybody out there that thinks they can't get it done on a shoestring budget, you're kidding yourself. So content.
Why are your best ads shot on iPhone? Why is it because people see that it's not overproduced and they feel like it's just some organic stuff?
Authentic, yeah. I mean, people can just resonate with it more, I guess. But I mean, that statistic is the same for all my buddies that own D2C companies. So you can do it on a shoestring budget. And then next, what I did, which I like to do with everything in life, it's actually something that I do with someone like Jay Abraham, is I found the best agency, I hired them, and then I studied them. I actually worked in the agency's office one time a week. I found the best rep that they had internally, and he taught me everything. On March 17th of 2017, guys, I did not know anything about ads. I did not know what ROAS meant. ROAS means return on ad spend. That's like a very buzzword in the paid acquisition world. I knew nothing. And then I saw they had at that point 75 clients, and it was like every single person was just sourcing out the work to them. But I was thinking, I was like, hey, I can go get my MBA for what I'm paying them per month. So I literally was bugging the shit out of them. And what happened? I learned everything, and then what did I do? I cut them and I brought it in-house. And now I have an in-house team where I understand it now from a macro perspective that I can hire the proper people and frame it correctly. So my advice to anybody out there is first and foremost is to understand your brand, create a lot of content, and then secondly, go find an agency who's doing it, and then don't be silly. Don't just source it out to them and then get mad when they're not doing a good job. Be on them. Ask them questions. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And I think, you know, ironically enough, Daymond, I really don't think that there's a book or a resource out there that really explains digital marketing now. Well, it's obviously an ever-evolving world. I think your best bet is to go find a top agency, maybe overpay a bit for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, but get the knowledge. And when you understand the knowledge, you know what's going to happen? The tide's turning there when you're talking to the agency. You're like, hey, man, well, why aren't you doing this? Well, why aren't you doing that? And then they start kind of like fumbling a bit, and then you know it's time to take it in-house.
Okay, so I think there's a couple of lessons to learn from him. My buddy who owns a massive chain of hip sneakers company, he used to say when he was first opening up, or you know, when he first opened the store, he went and worked at a Foot Locker or a Foot Action because he worked in the stock room and he wanted to know what SKUs were selling more, what colors, what sizes, whatever the case is, because when he opened up, instead of buying all these colors and sizes, he knew the basically the top selling ones, and then that's what he started off with his inventory, and he knew what to go after, so he knew a little bit better. But when you're talking about the agency, I totally agree. But people are going to talk about you know, there's so many different areas of business, right? There is marketing, there's tax consultant, there's this and this and that, and somebody may say, okay, well, I know a little bit about digital marketing, but I don't know about sales, so let me get a sales agency and do the same exact thing. At what point do you say, I can't do all of it?
Yeah.
So what type of agencies would you say, or other people you go, I definitely think I should learn from them and ask them the tough questions, and then when they're not performing as good as they should, I need to put them on notice and or move to another agency, whether it's public relations or this and that. But at what point do you say you still should also just outsource some work while you're a certain size, because you can't bring on 50 people?
I think you'll know, but I mean, if you look at any D2C company at scale, I would say almost every company, at least 50% of its spend is Facebook. So I mean, finding a Facebook performance agency, I think is the most important. That's where the most scale is. So I think that's something that, I mean, for us, we have an outside agency and we're doing it in-house. That's how important it is to us. So we're getting twice the amount of labor there. And then I think lastly is email and then text. Text is something that's emerging very strong. The open rates are through the roof. I mean, how many text messages do you not check, Daymond? You're always checking your text messages. So I think getting a Facebook agency, obviously Facebook is also Instagram. And then lastly is really invest in email and text, because I think text is actually the future of everything.
Text is the future of everything, because you're going right to their digital device, you know, and people open up text way more than they open up everything else.
Well, here's the thing, Daymond, is when you're doing ads on Instagram, you know what you're doing? You're at the mercy of the algorithm. So it's like you buying a house, but I own the real estate, Daymond. So you're buying this beautiful house, and then I go, hey, Daymond, I'm jacking up the rent, man. You want to reach these people? Boom, I'm jacking it up 10x. But for text messages, you own the house and you own the real estate. You own the relationship. So I love that, because what happens with all of these distribution channels? They go in Facebook. What happened to Facebook 5-6 years ago? Oh my God, it's the gold rush. You go in, you can reach everybody. And then what do? Boom, they charge you. Oh, you want to reach this many people? We're charging you this. This many people are charging you this. And they stifle you. And then what happens? Instagram. It's booming. Oh my God, I'm reaching everybody. Now what? Oh, I only can reach 1/10 the amount of people. You got to pay. So what they do is they get you excited, and then they make you pay to play. I love text message because you own the relationship. I can do whatever I want there. I have an enormous and growing text message list. I can text them anytime I want, and no one is telling me anything. I know that I control if they're opening it or not. So I think text message is personally the future. We've put ample resources into different strategies and how to collect people's phone numbers, obviously non-intrusively. And I think that's some of our people listening. Not enough people are focusing on that. A lot of people are talking about TikTok and LinkedIn. Everybody's still talking about Facebook. Guys, text message, I don't think the phone is going anywhere, personally. So I think text message is a really, really good one.
All right, you know what? I'm going to focus more on text messages. You know, I've seen Gary do it. Barbara has been doing it, texting something. But because you said that, I want people right now to realize that just like my books or just like speaking to anybody else, you know, I'm learning during the conversation. That's why I'm asking these questions. So I want people to hopefully say, well, damn, Damon's learning too. So, you know, I'm going to start initiating to start texting people, but now I got to find out what I'm going to text them, because I also don't like a lot of bullshit texts either.
Yeah.
You know, we got a busy enough day going on out there, and I don't want people, you know, telling me, you know, random crap. So I think I'm going to start doing that as well.
Yeah, I love it, man.
All right. So Mark, I'm going to bounce in 1 second, but I want to just ask you, you know, and we're just freestyling here. You know, somebody right now who's either furloughed or they're working from home, or, you know, maybe they're thinking about a new business, or they're trying to do their day job and work their night job, their dream. I mean, what are some tips that you are, because you know, that's your day job is motivating people at the end of the day.
Yep.
What are some tips that you can tell people right now as we're all going through this fog of when the hell is this going to be over? Is it another year? Is it another 2 years? Oh my God, racial inequality, where I'm on unrest. I'm fighting with my significant other. I don't know if my kid's going to go to school this year. I mean, what would you tell people right now?
One thing and one
And
thing.
I know you don't have the answers, but I'm just another entrepreneur to another entrepreneur.
No, I do think I have the answer, Damon. I do think I do. And it's
All right.
it's invest in yourself. I think too many people don't understand that we live in a skills economy, a skills and knowledge economy, not a job and resume economy. If you have world-class skills and knowledge, you cannot be shut down. I don't care if you're black, white, purple, whatever it is. If you have skills and knowledge, somebody is going to want you for something. So if you're out there and you're confused, you're furloughed, you're in a tough situation, read. Go buy Damon's book and read. Go study the people that are doing what you want to do. How did I, you know, throughout my whole entire 20s, late 20s, I was broke, but what was I doing? I was reading hundreds and hundreds of pages of Jay Abraham's PDF. Hundreds of pages all the time. I was studying all of the people that I wanted to be. Guys, nothing is rocket science out there. Everything is somebody else's formula, and people are tweaking it and remixing it into their own formula. So if you're out there, I think it's be self-aware enough to know what you can be good at, and that means ask the people close to you. If you want to be, you know, a professional basketball player, go ask your mom, your dad, and your best friends, hey, do you think that if I put in, you know, the time and the work, I can be there? And if they say yeah, then go bust your ass. Go train 20 hours a day. So I think right now it's very clear. Everybody has so much time to do whatever they want. Go read, go study, listen to these Instagram lives. Make sure you're consuming the right content. Follow people like you, follow people like Gary, Tony Robbins, people like that. So I think that investing in yourself and getting smarter, Daymond, is always the answer. It's always the answer.
I couldn't agree more, and I think somebody else just elaborated on something that we always like to say. Patricia Bolton said, also know what's your why. You know, what is driving you? What do you want to get out of that? So then it can guide you down that road of the things that you want to read, or you want to absorb, or you want to go work at that agency because you realize that the black hole to the black hole in a company is advertising and marketing. If you don't know what you're doing, you could just be spending and spending and spending and not even people you want. So go maybe work at that advertising agency, or go work wherever it is, or at that that factory that does makeups, or you know what I mean, where you realizing how they're doing the packaging and the and everything else, or sales or something else like that. But go educate yourself. So I appreciate the mark, and like you said, you know, the best sales were of your kind of stuff shot on the iPhone. So I hope everybody's going to be impressed by my art that you can go and check out. Look at that big beautiful thing. It says "Stop Asking for Permission." That is the movie, basically. Stop asking for permission, starring leadership, greatness, and freedom. Right, that's one of our art pieces. But again, we have nice fancy videos. But imagine that sitting behind your desk when you are doing your live broadcast. Look at that one.
Hey.
Remember your why, And that movie is starring purpose, humility, and goals, right? And we got a couple more here. I'm not going to kill everybody with because I really want you to see the video. The video is kind of motivating. I'm even feeling myself in the video. Not physically. All right, there goes two more. Goals. I'm going to talk about goals. And this one, All right. Anyway, thank you, man. I appreciate it. All the best with you, man. And thank you for working with me and, saying to people out there, you post me once, I'll post you twice. I think that is, that should be the theme of a book. You post me once, I'll post you twice.
Last thing I want to touch on is just your team has been absolutely amazing, A to Z. Everybody, Ted, Marissa, every single person on your team has been so thorough, so respectful to my team as well. It's been, we've done 20, 25 partnerships with you guys. It's been A1, A to Z. So shout out to your team.
Yeah, man. The key to that, Mark, is that, if I just pay them minimum wage, man, I want them to reach the sky, right? So if you just keep them at minimum wage, just keep them at minimum wage, baby. Keep them at minimum wage. They're going to reach for the sky.
All right, man. It was good talking to you, man. I appreciate you.
All right. All the best.
Be good. Bye.
Man, you can learn so much from Mark and so many people that we talk to and our fellow entrepreneurs. And make sure that you follow him, you follow Iconic, you pick up some of the pieces. I'm really proud of them. I don't just stamp my name on anything. And listen, I'm gonna start thinking about text, and I think that you should do it as well. Make sure you reach out to everybody, and try to get that info to text them and be able to hit them directly, but do not abuse that that relationship that you have. All right, so next one. This one is going to it is Naomi, and let me give you Naomi's background really quick. She studied to be a mechanical engineer at Stanford and minored in human biology before moving to New York and transitioned to the finance world. So that means she has a pretty big brain. After working for the trading floor of Goldman Sachs, where I keep a little bit of my cash, she pivoted to venture capital and worked with Union Square Ventures. These are all pretty big companies. Was looking for something new because she probably was hanging around a lot of Kevin O'Leary's, and she was just probably miserable in life because he's a mean little man. But was looking for something new where she could be a disruptor in the space. And her love for romantic comedies and the lack of scripted rom-com storytelling in the podcast world inspired her to create Meet Cute. Raised $3 million from investors. Guess what? Working somewhere and learning how it goes got her basically to learn how to raise $3 million from investors, including Shari Redstone Advanced Capital and Union Square Ventures, where she already had worked at. That means when you create a relationship somewhere and you do a great job, even when you leave, you probably are like, hey, can we do something together? People who have left my company, I have worked with and I still continue to work with. And each Meet Cute. So when I say Meet Cute, because sometimes I'm talking too fast, it's MEET. Cute, CUTE. Each Meet Cute episode is 15 minutes long and takes you from Meet Cute to Happily Ever After. And yours truly did an episode on there. It's called Milkmen and was released last week. All right, I'm going to bring her on really quick. And Right.
Hi, Daymond.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Long time no talk. How are you doing?
No. We did your Instagram live last week, and it was absolutely amazing and fun and informative. So I'm sorry, I'm going to be asking you, or we're going to be talking about some of the same things that we talked about last week. That you know, I don't want to be redundant, but a lot of people may not have caught it because they have other shit to do in the world, and they. All right, so I'm going to hop right into it. So you know, we talked about this last week. So you know, I never realized, and I guess after being on TV over a decade, that my voice actually can be, people can recognize my voice. And I remember I was in, I think it was Subway's, and I was ordering Subway sandwich shop, and I was ordering a sandwich, and somebody who, they never saw who I was. They were walking out of the door. They just stopped and turned around. And I think I even had a hoodie on that day, and they said, "Is that Daymond John?" And it felt odd to me. But when I heard that, you have this romantic comedy podcast and this stuff, and I wanted to do a voiceover for it, I was a little nervous about doing it because I'm doing that with actual people who study theater, people who are actors and actresses who've done this their whole lives and will do this their whole lives. So I never want to go in there and insult those who have spent a career doing it. And you gave me the chance to do it. I drove 3 hours one way to the studio. This was right when COVID was happening, raining, and then traffic wasn't as bad. I drove 2 hours back. I did the thing, and it was really fun episode, and I appreciate you giving me that shot. But tell me a little bit about Meet Cute. Tell us all a little bit about Meet Cute and what you do and why people, why people get such a joy out of what you're doing.
Great. Before I get into Meet Cute, I just want to give a little plug to Daymond's voice acting career. He was incredible on the story Milkmen. It actually is part of a 3-story series, and you definitely crushed the role of Patrick. Patrick is the coffee shop owner. So we loved having you as a part of the cast of that story. So thank you for coming on and doing that and driving 3 hours both ways. It was amazing. But for everyone here, Meet Cute is it's basically your favorite rom-com movie in podcast form. And we make 15-minute romantic comedies that take you from Meet Cute, which is this moment between two people that's magical and kind of in a destined to be together kind of way, takes you to the happily ever after. And part of why 15-minute stories are so fun and incredible is you get that emotional satisfaction of the happily ever after in a very contained and constrained story format. So when you're listening to this story, you're going to get that feeling of hopefulness or happiness, which is a really great antidote to a lot of the headlines that we're seeing today in the news. So when you wake up, you want a hit of fictional happiness. Like rom-coms are a really nice way to do that. And Meet Cute is basically trying to make as many of these stories as possible to represent as many types of people and settings and geographies. So basically create a very fun, fresh, new slate of romantic comedies for people to enjoy.
Now, let's go back to, your education. I mean, mechanical engineer at Stanford, then minored in human biology, and then moved to New York and transitioned to finance. Obviously, it sounds like you really, you're intense. You have a skill set and or a desire and drive to do things that are very structured, very, and very well paid too. Mm-hmm. And you stop doing all that, and you decide, I just think the world needs to be a better place. I just want to make people smile, and I love romance. And how do you give up all that to just move into this area and not say to yourself, man, you know how many years of school I put in? You know how much money I had to sacrifice? You know how much time I had to sacrifice? And this area that I'm in is really a good area, and I'm just going to give that up. Like, who does that, and why do you do it? And why didn't your parents beat you to death for even considering doing that? I'm not sure. Maybe your parents helped support you. Maybe they didn't. But what are you doing, and why are you doing that? Why
Yeah.
would you do that?
Well, it's something I think about a lot. And I think up until Meet Cute, I would say I was on some sort of path, and I always have liked the structure that that path offered. Until I went to Stanford, getting into a university that would allow me to study whatever I wanted was a huge priority of mine. And so I was on that path for a long time. And then at Stanford, I knew I wanted to study. I actually went back and forth a little bit. I wanted to be a doctor when I first started at
Oh,
school.
let's add a doctor into it while we're at it. Go ahead.
So I wanted to be
We're only missing astronaut at this point, but go ahead.
that was an early childhood dream as well. So there have been a lot of changes. My parents have been supportive the entire way. They were a little bit. My mom especially was a little bit surprised when I left Goldman to start working at a smaller venture capital firm. I think there definitely is this idea of we talk about this a lot in my family, but my parents' generation, they love the idea of you stay at one firm for a long time and you work your way up the ladder, and it's a very predictable path. And in that predictability, you get a lot of support, you get a safety net, you know exactly what to expect year after year. And so that was something that, you know, is a measure of success for them. And I think it took them a long time, or like a few conversations to get to this new idea, which for me is that the excitement of different parts of my career are going to come from kind of shifting around and being super opportunistic about what's put in front of me at any given point. And I think being open to those opportunities is a really important part of what's defined my career so far. So I can speak a little bit about the transition to Meet Cute, because I think that this is probably the largest jump I've made in my relatively short career so far. But when I was at USV, I was really interested in the consumer side of investments and how people interacted with products and what their behavior was like, what psychology went into deciding whether to interact with the product or not. And that pretty naturally led me to media and entertainment as a space that I focused on. And over time, I started building up this idea of, okay, I really like short form content. I like audio content. Podcasting is booming right now. I think there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of developing more fictional content in the audio space, and kind of what is a type of content that will make people feel good. And over time, instead of looking for a company to invest in, it turned very naturally into me spending time building this out. And I was still at Union Square Ventures when I was building this idea out. And at some point, a couple of the partners at USV sat me down and were like, you know, you're spending a lot of time on this. It's a really cool idea. Why don't you, you know, if you want to, it's going to take a lot of effort to, you know, build a small team around you and kind of create something from nothing here. But if you want to come back in, pitch us, you know, we can invest in this idea. And so I basically took some time to build up the idea, built out an initial deck, formed a team around me. We have a team of 5 working at Meet Cute. They're all incredible. And in that process, went back in, pitched USV, which is where I worked. And it was so crazy being on the other side of the investment table, where for the last year and a half, I had been investing alongside all of the partners and analysts at Union Square Ventures. But to go back in and pitch them was an incredibly nerve-wracking experience, and one that I really valued. It's incredible to be able to continue to work with the people who you've built trust and relationships. And, you know, some of my biggest professional mentors are at Union Square Ventures. And so I feel lucky to have taken investment from them.
So, you know, listen, I said opening up that you work with venture capitalists who are mean little people like Kevin. But this story is incredible. And a lot of people right now who are watching are at places where, you know, because I'm honestly, you know, listen, you would have worked at my company unless, and maybe they gave you permission to work on this on the side. Did they give you that while you were in the company?
Yeah, it very naturally. Like at first, I was only spending 10% of my time on it, but they saw that I was just interested in it, and it eventually spent 30%, 50%, 70%.
How did they allow you to spend 10%? Was it the 3M and the Google thing where it was like, you know, 20% of your time you could spend on anything you want? Was it that type of culture they have?
That very much is part of the culture where it's you learn about different verticals by kind of going deep on them. So me learning about romance, rom-com, podcasting, and entertainment and media was very much almost part of my due diligence to find companies. So it was a very similar process to starting to build as it was.
Because naturally, a lot of bosses would have said, you took 20% of the time that you have allocated to me to go do this. Guess what? I own that intellectual property because you did it here. I didn't tell you to do that. That's your damn problem.
Yeah.
But instead, they go and give you money.
Yeah,
I need to get a job over there.
I think it was a very special relationship to have, to be able to almost like start by incubating a company inside of the firm. And to your point, I think, you know, and this kind of gets into the power shift thesis that you wrote about, which is that I think starting in venture capital and moving into an operating role has really helped me in some of the decisions that I make in operating a company, and taking the lessons that I learned sitting alongside the investment partners there and bringing it into how we run a team, how we do partnerships, how we think about our content flywheel. All of those things have been lessons from sitting at a bird's eye view on an investment team and looking at, you know, 75 companies in the portfolio. So I think that they saw that transition as being a very powerful one, to go from being on the investment team to an operator and the things that you can bring over. And so they were super supportive of the decision to move into an operating role, because I think an easier path for me probably would have been, just recruit at another investment firm in a sense of like, you know, you can move up the investment ladder. But I think I wanted to do something completely different, 180 degrees from what I was doing. And they were really supportive of that, which was really great.
There's a lot of people right now watching who they have ideas and they have things that they know would be very beneficial to the company, or they can that they're currently with, or that maybe it's not. It's something totally new that they want to do. But, you know, listen, you don't get if you don't ask, and why not just take a shot? What would you suggest people doing right now should listen to say to their superiors, their partners, or places they work with? What do you think that they should do right now to get that opportunity if they have?
I think doing your research and coming up with a reason for why it's worth investing either time or money is the biggest thing. And the way to do that, in my opinion, is to create an emotional connection between your idea and the person you're trying to convince. So when I think about, let's just say fundraising, for example, I always think, you know, they're going to see hundreds and hundreds of people either email them, walk through that door, ask them for money. But the biggest differentiator in how you can set yourself apart is by creating an emotional connection between your content, your product, your mission statement, and the person that or the people that are in the room with you. And so when I think about it from an emotional perspective, I find that there is a lot more, you pull into your idea, and it's almost like you ask them, why should you work alongside us? And like, what will you bring to the table when it comes to this idea or making this idea possible? And because there's an emotional connection there, they want to see you succeed. They want to see the idea succeed. So turning it around from I'm spending X amount of my time on this, or I need this much money to make it happen, into we want this idea out there in the world. How do we make it happen together? I think that is a big, that's how I think it really worked in my case for convincing everyone around me why Meet Cute needed to exist in the world today. And then people wanted to join that and be a part of it.
Come here. All right, my executive producer just came back into the room. Come here. I guess she saw her mother. Huh? You want to say hi? Come here.
Hello.
So, say hi. Say hi.
Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Hi.
Baby, if I ever send you to college and you quit, I will disown you. Okay? If you quit college and you quit the career that you are supposed to do because you studied all that time for it, okay?
She knows.
So, all right. So now let's talk about Meet Cute, and you know we only got a couple more minutes because obviously IG cuts off after a little while. You know, so how many episodes and how many pieces of content do you have out there, and share it with all of us?
Yeah, so we make a ton of content. We put out 4 new stories every week. So far, we started in about December creating stories and putting them out there. We've released about 90 rom-com stories. Some of them are in standalone form, just 15-minute stories, self-contained. Others, like the one that Daymond voice acted in, are series. So there are 3 interconnected stories with characters recurring. And we are on every podcast platform. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere where you listen to audio, you can find us. Also on social media, we are basically trying to create a brand around romantic comedy. So if that's a genre that appeals to you or one that you want to get into, we try and keep it super timeless, post rom-com throwbacks. I know Daymond loves Along Came Polly. And we also are trying to basically bring a new level of diversity and freshness to this genre, which is pretty traditional when you think about the couples in the early 2000 rom-coms. So we're bringing it to a new level, I think, right now.
I think that's probably why you got into the business. As soon as you said that, I just thought of Long Came Polly when the guy said, "She set fire to my trousers," and that just it's just gonna make me smile all day long.
That's the point of rom-coms. They stay with you. You always feel good about them. You can always escape into them. So.
And I'm the dude like on Along Came Polly, you know, like because I had that one little role in Billions that I don't really talk about much, but it's 21 minutes in, episode season 5, episode 4. It's 83 seconds long. So I'm the same as that dude in Along Came Polly who you talking about that movie role he had 20 years ago. All right. Well, I really appreciate your time, and right now, you know, you're the epitome of power shift, and you decided to take those actions. But right now, there are a lot of people watching who are lost, and they have to take action because, you know, we all know where we're at. I don't need to say it. What can you say to them to give them any piece of advice? I know you don't have a crystal ball, neither do I, but just being open to people right now is telling them what they should be thinking about. It would help.
I would say if you're at some sort of decision point and you're not sure whether it makes sense to take it or not, I think there's a lot of safety in taking the predictable path, but the path that's less predictable is very fun, and it'll open up a lot of doors that you had no idea could be open down the road. For me, I didn't ever think I'd be working on an entertainment company or building a rom-com podcast production company. And the fact that I'm working on it now is all because of that one decision I made back in October to take that jump. So if there's a jump, you're excited about it, I think it's worth taking. And the worst that can happen is it doesn't work out and you figure it out after that. But the story that comes from taking that leap is, I think, a really fun one and makes you more interesting as a person.
All right, somebody just said one thing that was interesting. They just said Shakespeare made his best during a pandemic, and you are making amazing things. People need to get a little bit of an escape. Everybody, you know, Naomi's Instagram is right there, so you can follow her, and of course, be cute, and you can get inspired by her. It's right under where I pinned it. And Naomi, thank you so much for being an inspiration and being somebody that we can all say have done power shifts, and you're making us smile. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity you gave me.
Thank you. I really appreciate all of your time, and we hope to have you back on a Meet Cute very soon.
All right, if I'm not busy doing my Billions, my new Billions cameo, whenever that's going to happen.
Let us know.
I don't know why he doesn't pick up my call. But all right, thank you so much.
Bye, Daymond. Bye, everybody.
Bye. And say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much. You know, next week, I do my T-Mobile, my T-Mobile for business IG Live Monday at 1 o'clock, and then I bring more interesting people on at Tuesday at 1 o'clock as well. And I want all of you to be safe out there. It's getting crazy. It's getting nuts out there. But be safe. Take care of your family. Hey, you know what you got to do? There's that little oxygen meter. I know Kevin O'Leary told me. It's a little one you put on your finger, right? What I found out from doctors is if you put that on your finger and it checks your heart rate and your oxygen, if your oxygen is under, like they said, like under 60 or 70, It could mean that you may have the virus. It's something really simple. It costs $60. You put it on your finger every single day. Why? Because all your body organs are pulling for oxygen at the same time. You have a low oxygen level, and you may not know you have it. You need to go right to the hospital, get it checked out, because that's why a lot of people die from heart attacks and all that other kind of stuff. But you know what? Check your doctor or read up on that type of thing. When I hear stuff like this, I just share it with you. I've read up on it a certain amount, but you know, I just want people to be safe and do all the little things you can do. We're seeing a lot of spikes in different areas. Just really be careful out there. And I love you all, and I will see you in the week, or I will see you next week. All right? Bye.